Hello, 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 and welcome to the live show of Get Awesome. You're here with co-host Jen Drakes, also known as the Original Goddess, and my co-host
Coach Katie here. Ooh, Coach Katie.
Oh, another evening, a new topic. And this month we're starting a new inspiration. So this is our inspiration call, pursuing your path. And we are going to be now building on everything that we have done before. Last month we set the goals. We picked our number one or most prominent ULA goal that we want to pursue. And we also set 7 goals. And now we are going the next step further into looking at the path. So, Katie, you want to take us into the discussion as you always do, and go with it. Let's get us going.
All right, thanks everybody. If you're joining us live, please let us know in the comments so we can thank you and call you out for joining us. All right, so you've done the wheel, which is where you are. You've done your goals, which is the ULA plan, which is where you want to be. And now we're going to take you down the ULA path. And basically what the ULA path are those action steps you will take daily to get to your goals that you did last month. And it's really quite simple. And it's really kind of old school, as the ULA guys say, the way they do it. Quite simple. 3x5 cards. If you want to go high tech, you can do them on your phone or you can do them on your desktop, but you can do 3x5 cards for each day. And so the way I do it is I draw a line down the middle, and on the left-hand side are what are called Skittles. And your Skittles are those small everyday errands that you need to do. The grocery store, the laundry, the pay bills, get the kids to soccer practice, etc. And on the right-hand side are your oranges, and your oranges are your goals that you're working with. So every night you will do your little list, and we strongly encourage you to write down at least 3 things on your oranges side, which will be steps you're taking to get you to your goals. Now, some days you may have 3, some days you may have 5. Some days you may, as the ULA guy says, get them all done by noon, and so you add more. So you're not locked into anything, right? This is you need to make it work for you. Some days, I'll be honest, some days I may have 2 things. Some days I may have 5 or 6. And some of them may be really small, like to fix my Bitly link for my Facebook page. Some of them may be bigger, to watch a Facebook Live, or when I was going through my certification for it to be an ULA life coach, it would, my oranges each day were to do finish one unit, and then take the certification test. So one of the things I wanted to do tonight as sort of a visual to show you about Skittles and oranges and how important it is to show you this, right? So bear with me. This is going to be interesting. This is your life, right? It's just a clear plastic, not plastic, but a clear glass thing, right? And these are your Skittles.
Oh, how much Skittles do you have there, darling?
I got a ton of Skittles here. And it's going to be easy if I can get them in here without shooting them all over the desk.
Do you have, Katie, do you have something tall that you can put the glass on to show? It might take up the whole screen, but it would have the effect. Just even a book or something to put it on. There we go. Yeah, much better.
And I can
put another one?
Yeah. I've got tons of books.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Having books is not an issue, right?
Because this is really impactful, the visual of it. So Yes, that's what we're talking about.
Right?
That's
So
fantastic.
I
Yeah.
may have to try it this way. Let me pour them in here. See if this works. All right, so these are your Skittles. These are those things that we let take up our day, right? It's this can be loud. It's gonna be, do the laundry.
Oh, I love the sound effect. It's fantastic.
Right?
Yeah.
Pay the bills. It's go to the pick up the dry cleaning. It's get the kids to soccer practice, right? It's cook dinner. Get the dog's vet appointments, right?
Yeah.
We have filled up, right, our day. And so when it comes to our goals, right, which are our oranges, okay, trying to figure out which way to go.
Yeah, it's going good. Yeah, we see our oranges.
We start trying to fit them in.
On top of everything that we were trying to do, all our to-do lists.
Right? We're like out of room.
Yeah.
We're already full. So the trick is and this is why those note cards are so important, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the trick is put your oranges in first.
And they represent your goals.
Right? These are your goals.
Yeah, put your goals in first.
Right?
Love it.
Put your goals in first.
And fit everything else around the goals. That was picking up the kids, taking the dog to the dog park, paying your bills. All the responsibilities. Look at that.
Right? And it all fits in.
So lift it up. Can you lift it up, Katie, or is it too heavy? There. Look at all those Skittles fitting around the oranges and around the goals.
Right? So hopefully that makes sense, right?
I love this exercise. This is fantastic. So the ultimate message is that if you put things in the right priority, everything fits in. But if you let all your day-to-day things that you have to do take over, you never have time for your goals. But make your goals a priority and then fit everything in around that and adjust your life according. They all fit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
And again, just it's 3 simple steps, just 3 action steps a day. And over the course, if you do that consistently, over the course of a year, you will have taken 1,000 steps, over 1,000 steps towards your goal. And again, we talked last week about, 80% of us have never even thought of a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Only like, what did I say? 16% wrote them down.
Yeah.
Only like 4% of them ever looked at them again once they wrote them down. And only 1% looked at them daily.
Yeah.
And those that looked at them daily and worked towards them over the course of a lifetime earned about 9 times more money.
That was the punchline. So the message was that goal setting is so very important because it even has an economic aspect to your livelihood and to your living. And maybe that acts as a motivator for those who don't set as well, right? If they find that their income or their status in life is staying stagnant, maybe that's something that they could try to see if it indeed augments their current circumstances as well.
Right.
So this is important stuff. It's powerful stuff. I love that visual, Katie. I really do.
And I keep the oranges on my desk to remind me daily. And again, I just picked up this little thing from like an Office Depot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's me because it's like colorful and it's ringed so they all stay together.
Right.
It sits out on my desk, and I don't necessarily do it every night, but I may do it the following morning.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain things which are part of my daily life, which will be on that list every day. Like I have a morning routine that I do. And because my work with the foster group is important, the foster stuff is always on there. And then depending on what's going on with ULA, or if I'm doing a Tony Robbins thing, or whatever else is on my goal list, that will make my goals. And like I said, some days I may honestly only have 2, although, the goal is to have 3 steps a day. But some days I may have 5 or 6 on my list. And it's just to be consistent, and it's to take, think baby steps. So think about what one of your 7 was, or what your ULA 1 is, and what baby steps do you need to take? Like, for example, I'll go back to the example I always use about you want to do an Ironman, triathlon in Hawaii, but you're overweight. So one of your goals is to lose 50 pounds. Well, the baby steps in getting there can be something as simple as I probably should get a physical first, right? So let me set a physical with my doctor. If I don't have a doctor, then one of my baby steps would be find a doctor, right? And then schedule a physical. Then another baby step would be for the next 30, 60 days or 30 days, maybe, track what I'm eating, track everything I eat. And then maybe another baby step is let me start researching various diets. Do I want to do keto or paleo? Do I need to do gluten-free? Do I want to do the zone? Do I want to do Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, whatever's going to fit into my lifestyle, whatever is going to be the healthiest for me? Do I need to join a gym? Or if I belong to a gym, do I need to start going to the gym? So it should not and doesn't have to be something that's overwhelming. So whatever your goal is, break it down into baby steps. There's that saying that says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So you take it one step at a time. And that's what goes on, your little list. This is the start of my list for tomorrow.
So Katie, let me ask you, and I in case it comes up in the thoughts of the audience as they watch the show, we called it Pursuing Your Path, and we use that word, but it seems to have an aspect of prioritization. So there's a aspect of setting priorities, understanding what is important, and where things place in the overall scheme of things. And then there seems to be another one in terms of really laying out, in terms of those larger goals that you set, how you get to that. Is that the path part? Is trying to figure out all the things you need to do to get to your goal. So if education's one of them, how will you get education? Where are the options to get the education? How will you fit it in? Like that's why it's called a path?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. It's you've got this goal right here, and you're down here someplace, right? So what's the path I need? How do I need to get there? And I'll tell you this, the path undoubtedly will not be like a straight shot, right? Just because there are going to be twists and turns on the way, because we're only, right? And I'll tell you this, that sometimes, some days, like I took Easter off. I took New Year's Day off. I took Christmas Day off. So so on those days, I didn't have this, because it was like a break. It was a holiday. It was time for me either to feed my faith, to feed my family, those F's. So the path is, here's my goal. What's my path that I need to take to get there? And the Skittles and oranges talk to, your comment about prioritizing.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you this, because I have also found through doing this, and this is me personally, this is not something that's spelled out by the ULA guys, but I think you and I have talked about this, I find that occasionally there are some Skittles, which, while not necessarily tied into a goal of yours, but they're things that you need to do, want to do around your house or whatever, and you've put it off and you put it off and you put it off, and you keep thinking about, I need to get that done, I need to get that done, I need to get that done.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some days where there's actually a Skittle, not tied to my goal, but there's a Skittle that I just have to stop and do because it's something that's been sort of nagging at me. Like, for example, going through my clothes and having a pile started out.
Yeah, to start to build up to go out and stuff.
Right. Take to the will. Well, it's been sitting in my garage for 2 months. It's a Skittle, but it's a Skittle that's driving me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of affecting my focus. And it's one of those things that every time I go out in the garage, I see, the cardboard box with stuff to take to the Goodwill. And I know I've got to go through my clothes. Another thing is going through my books, which were falling out of the bookcase because I have so many, and weeding them out and taking them to the library. Not an orange, but important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I've been putting off and putting off and putting off. So, so again, none of this is like locked in stone. And none of this is the only way to do it. And if you don't do it this way, you're not doing ULA, right? You have to do you. That's why I said, this works for me.
Mm-hmm.
It sits out on my desk and I look at it, it sits right next to me. I look at it all throughout the day and I think about things that I need to do. And it helps me with my focus. If I can remember to focus on my oranges,
right,
and work in the Skittles, my day goes much smoother than, because we've all had days, right? If you don't do this and you let the Skittles take over your life, one of the Skittles that takes over a lot of our lives is getting sucked into scrolling through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Being sucked into binge watching something on Netflix. And you can do that day after day after day after day. And then you'll be looking at your, if you've done like I do, and you've got your 7 sitting out in front of you, you'll look down at that 7, because I also know that sometimes the longer stuff sits in front of us, the less likely we start to see it, because it's
right
all there and we're not focused on it. We're not tuned into it.
So in my own nurturing practice, one of the things that I'm thinking about as we're talking about this, and I'm thinking of candidates, one of my things is I want people to start back dreaming about what they think. Are they even on the right path? Are they in the right field? What would they do if they, couldn't fail? All of these types of questions I push forward. But when you get people to start to think about those things and set goals for those, I think a lot of people will write the goal down. And this is my experience. Tell me if you think differently. And they write the goal down. So for example, I recently heard somebody would love to open a bird sanctuary. And they're doing something completely different. So the question was, why aren't you doing that? And I think that if they set that as let's say they set, I'm going to pursue opening a bird sanctuary. I think writing that down is one thing. Setting goals towards it feels still like it's impossible. You know what I mean? So how do we get them from that to setting the small goals, to start to say, don't think about the magnitude, because we want them. I know you and I've talked about this, and we want people to, their dream and their things to be this big auspicious type of thing. But when you write that down and now you're trying to set your path to it, it can feel overwhelmed. Like I could just see people writing it down, right? It's on one of their 7. These they might have 5 normal ones, right? Like 5 pretty fairly easy goals. And then they have 2 or so that are these big ones. And I can just see them scratching their head going, okay, where do I start? And I asked that sincerely because I remember when I did my pivot and I was describing that recently, it really was that I knew my decision not to go back. I knew what I would be going back to. So the decision not to go back to that was an easy decision, but it didn't mean I had a game plan for going forward. It
Right.
didn't mean I knew what forward looked like. It was literally like just I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I just knew I had to go in that direction, but I didn't know. So for people like that don't typically plan, let's just say, don't typically do this type of stuff, and we're trying to nurture them and inspire them to do it, I'd like to speak to that type of person, because I think even the person that can set goals for every day, they can get that. But when you feel stuck and you want to get unstuck and you want to say, this is what I want to do, but I don't have the faintest idea where to start, how to go. How do you apply this, Katie, to get them to go? Like, what is that practical thing for those sort of people? Or am I just muddying the waters? And I apologize if I am, but I'm thinking about those people that truly want to change and kind of have an idea what that change, but honestly cannot see how it's possible.
Right. Okay. So here's the thing. 70% of us are working jobs we hate.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us, like your bird sanctuary person, has an idea of what they want to do, right? Okay. So for that person, it's really the starting point, to my mind, is research.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so you research bird sanctuaries. Is there one where this person lives? Can you find a mentor? Can you volunteer to work there to see if that's really what you'd like to do? Can you research online about bird sanctuaries? And with Google or Bing or Safari, you know that you could probably Google starting a bird sanctuary, and there'll be tons of stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's like all the knowledge in the world. So again, so you would want to figure out, can I make money doing this? Can I, enough to live off of for my needs? And again, you do that by finding a bird sanctuary, interviewing those people. Did you ever do like informational interviews?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Whereas you're not necessarily looking for a job,
Mm-hmm.
but you want to talk to somebody that's, you want to interview somebody that's
Yep.
doing that job that you think you might want to do, to find out what it's really like. This would be sort of the same thing. If you wanted to run a bookstore, right? So find in your town an independent bookstore, right? If that's what you want to do, and talk to them.
Mm-hmm. What I would actually do is get mentors. Right. I would actually say to them, I want you to mentor me in that sort of stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. You talk to them and you say, this is what I'm looking at doing. Could you mentor me? Could you help me?
Mm-hmm.
Could you sort of show me some of the ropes? Show me some of the pitfalls in this, and what do you love about it? What do you hate about it? And how do you deal with what you hate about it?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about connecting with people who are doing what you wanted to do and doing the research, and moving from there. I guess I just can't. I know that people get stuck, and I know that they just think that they don't have any idea what to do, but really, to start is quite simple. It's where people get hung up. It's the keep going part, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the continuing to work on it day after day after day, and taking those steps every day. But to get started, you can be full of all sorts of ideas. Like your bird sanctuary person.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of ways for them to get started. It's then to maintain that focus. To continue to grow and continue to learn, and then you move from there to finding, then you're into stuff like finding a place to have the sanctuary and what all is entailed in that. But if you have a mentor, and if you've done your research and really done your research and, you know, taken notes and asked the right questions, or asked what questions should I be asking that I'm not asking, I think you can get the information that you need to sort of move forward. I think you have to want it bad enough.
Well, I think that is it. Absolutely. And I love your response in terms of like bringing it back to basics in terms of just research, right? But we know, you know, and I was playing devil's advocate, to be quite honest, in terms of just people that, you know, as we talk about this, it sometimes feel like if it's second nature to us, but they have to understand that we went through the same, like, oh my God moments, you know, what am I thinking? Is this possible? But then you still have to take steps forward. And how small can those steps be, or how large? But what you can't do for yourself, at least this is where you start to do the disservice for yourself, is when you just throw up your hands and say, I don't know where to go. Right? And I think you answered it beautifully by saying, start research, as simple as research. Then that motivates you because your research would probably, you know, show you something that you didn't think of, or even just a new idea or a new thought. And from there, you get motivated, you go to the next level, and you go to the next level, and next level. And that's what that's the type of thing, because I don't want people saying, you know, and one of the recent things that I've been hearing is being like writing a book. Some people say, I want to write a book, but I've been saying that for 2 years, or I haven't gotten started, or whatever. And you think, well, that starts with just, first of all, what would you write about? Why don't you make a list of all the things you would write about? Okay, which one sparks, figure out of that list 2 or 3 of them that really sparks your attention. Then from there, what would be the outline? What would be this? You know, what, and then there's steps to where you can actually write the book. But a lot of people write these things down or think these things. Some don't write it down, as we talked about already. But in writing it down, now, how do you go the next step? What I'm trying to prevent is someone throwing up their hands and going, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know.
Well, right. Well, and that's one of the things about ULA, again, is the UBU, right? So again, if, like you said, figure out what sparks you, what ignites that passion, what dream keeps coming back, right? Now, I'll be honest with you. If you went through this process and you did 21 goals, and then you bumped it down to 7, and then you bumped it down to your ULA 1, that you may have in fact just written down something just to write something down, right? So you can just tick off, put your little tick mark there. But there's some of those things that people have written down that you were passionate about. It's something you've been dreaming about for years, right? You probably haven't done anything on it, but it's something that you just keep thinking, if only, if only I could do this. You know, I really would like to do this. But like you said, I don't have a clue where to begin. I'm telling you, it begins with research. It begins with looking at other people who have done what you have done, and, you know, studying them, reaching out to them, asking them to mentor you, asking if you can shadow them, asking if you can volunteer with them, asking for an informational interview.
Yeah.
It truly is sort of baby steps, right? Your big dream may be that bird sanctuary, or your big dream may be getting a book published. That's that lighthouse in the distance. But the steps can be brought more down to earth, right? Because remember, excuse me.
No problem.
Goals come from the head. So the goals and the steps you take each day are the practical steps. And remember, these are baby steps. right? Your daily list are baby steps. And they can be even baby steps.
Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Troy always talks about the person that wants to never belong to a gym and wants to thinks they should join a gym, but they're afraid of being judged and they're afraid of not knowing how to use the equipment and whatnot. And he says, so maybe one of your first steps is I drive by the gym. I drive by and I wave as I go by.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe the next day is I pull in the parking lot of the gym.
Right.
I may not get out, but I pull in the parking lot and I watch people go in and out. I can see, are there people who have bodies like mine? Are they like my age? And then maybe the third day is I actually go into the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and take a tour. And then maybe the fourth step is I decide, or watch a class. And then maybe the fourth thing is I join the gym and I start going. So you see how you can take something that's probably frightening that I don't know what gym to go to, or I don't know how to use any of this equipment. And if you break it down, it's a lot less frightening.
Yeah. Right.
And it's a lot, I think, in your mind, it's a lot easier to do. Now, you may think it's silly to drive by the gym and wave. But, truly, if you've never belonged to a gym, and if you're really worried about being judged, and, this is how you can ease yourself into that goal of joining a gym, right? Break it down. I go by the gym and I wave. I pull in the
Mm-hmm.
and I watch people walk in and see, are they my age? Do they have my body types? Do they have kids with them? Whatever. And then maybe I go in and look around and then get and watch a class. And then I think, okay, there are ladies in this class that look like me, right? There are ladies in this class. Some of them are using really heavy weights. Some of them seem to be using really small weights. I could probably do the small weights, right? I could do this class, right? And so you've made it easier. I guess I just think that while the dreams can be overwhelming, right? Remember, it's that lighthouse in the distance.
Right.
That you just need to say, okay, that's my dream. Now I just need to take a deep breath, right? Okay, let me not get overwhelmed by that dream.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let me figure out if that dream inspires enough passion in me, right? And it should, right?
It should, if it's the right purpose.
Right.
If you've hit on your true purpose, yes, it should ignite passion for sure.
And if it's something that has been niggling at you for years to do, you don't want to get to the end of your life and have to account for the opportunities that you did not take advantage of. You don't want to get to the end of your life and have to explain why you were afraid to risk. Remember, you were designed by God for greatness and a purpose. Why settle for ordinary when extraordinary is within you? We all have extraordinary within us.
Absolutely.
Most of us get caught up in our skittles. Most of us get caught up in wasting our time. And look, I am just as guilty as anybody else out there of wasting time scrolling through Facebook, wasting time on BritBox TV, wasting time shopping, on Amazon. So look, I get you and I hear you because I do the same thing, right? But I also try and get my 3 orange things checked off on my list every day, right? I also try and remember, what are my 7 goals, right? And where am I on those, and I try and pull this out often because it sits behind my keyboard. But again, I'll tell you, even though it's this bright green color, right? It's like a lot of things in our lives. If they sit out in front of us day after day after day after day, we see them. So I have to make it a point to sort of pull this out and, and look at it. And think, okay, where am I? Oh, don't forget that, right? Like I look at this and I think, I see one thing on here I've still not done.
Right.
It's a will and a trust. Still have not done that. Talking about getting a power of attorney for my, financial and my health.
Mm-hmm.
They are on my goals, one of my top goals that I need to get done. I still haven't done them because I've let my Skittles get in the way. And so just by pulling this out tonight and looking at this, it reminds me, oh yes, I still haven't done my will and my trust.
Mm-hmm.
It was important enough to make my final 7, but I still haven't done anything on it. So, none of us are perfect, me included. But again, the path are the steps that you take daily that will move you towards your goal. You're not going to move there overnight. You're not going to move there in a week. You're probably not going to move there in 30 days. But again, remember last month when we talked about goal setting, we encouraged you to have at least one of your goals be a fast start goal.
Mm-hmm.
Something that would be easy to do, that you could hit in 30 days, you could hit in 60 days, to sort of give you that sense of completion, that sense of momentum, to move you forward. So don't, of your 7 goals, don't make everything, it's going to take me 6 months to a year to get this done. At least have one that you can do in like 30 days. So you have that sense of accomplishment. And
Okay.
And then you could check that off and you could say, yes, I got one of my skills, right?
You got it done.
Right.
It's actually it allows people to give some thought, and this is our inspiration call. So what we're trying to inspire people to take action, to do something, to really take their future and what they leave behind in this one life to be significant and, as you say, extraordinary, right? So hopefully the message gets across without us belaboring it or over explaining it or whatever. But that's what we really want people to do. So start to really think about what are some of those petite steps that you can take towards what you're trying to accomplish. And maybe put one little petite step against all of your 7 goals just to start. And then, fit all the routine stuff. The other aspect too, that to mention before we move to kind of wrapping up, is the fact that some of those Skittles, you can delegate. You can get a third party to support some of those Skittles, such as something like cleaning the house. You can get someone to come in and clean the house. So that is one less thing for you to do. I'm not saying farm them all out, but I'm certain there's some that you can get others to do for you as well. So that's another thing to look at. At the end of the day, it comes down to how you manage your time, how you manage your goals, and how you manage overall your aspirations and your life to make sure that every day you're not wasting a moment, a second a day. You are actually applying it in the way that gives you passion, gives you further, inspiration and further desire to achieve something big. But only you can decide it. And that's what Katie is so eloquently and beautifully trying to communicate to you. And I think from both of us, that's ultimately what we want for all of you. So please take it serious. Please try to set those things. Katie, do you want to just run over again the card and how to divide it just one more time? Or maybe you'll post it in our Facebook group. We didn't mention today, but by all means, maybe you can look for this in our Facebook group. Get Awesome is the name of the Facebook group. It is a public group, so you can just go there, join, follow us, but please see if you can think, because if we can lay out how it's done, Katie, as an example in the group, then they can follow that.
Yeah,
So
I'll post a picture of this, but it's 3x5 card.
Mm-hmm.
On the left-hand side are my Skittles, which are the
everyday
errands, the stuff I need to do, and on the right-hand side are my oranges. And those are my goals. And the object is to have 3 steps each day that will move you towards your goals. And it can, again, you be you. Your 3 steps can be on 3 different goals you have. Their 3 steps can be all on one goal. You know, you decide. You decide what's gonna work for you and where you want to focus your time and your energy. And so they say to do this every night before you go to bed, to do this little card thing. Sometimes I start it in the middle of the day because I think of something that I know I won't be able to get done today, but I can put it on my list for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of things that are on my list every day. And one is my morning routine, which is my meditation and my daily devotional readings. And then, since I started doing this volunteer work with this animal rescue, it's my animal rescue work are on my list every day. And then there are other things which fall depending on what I'm working on.
So Katie, do they put they try to put each of the baby step against all their 7 goals, or just choose a couple of them and do it? Is that what, or it could be all 3 could be against one goal?
Right, all 3. It's you be you.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do. Because you may have 7 goals, but of those 7 goals, one, you may have 1 or 2 that's more important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of your 7 may be your ULA 1, which is that one goal, which if you hit that goal, it could change everything. It could ripple effect on all the other 7, on all the other areas, of the 7 F's of ULA.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, again, this is you be you. There are no hard and fast rules. All ULA says is, they go old school. I mean, you can do this on your phone. You can do it on your, your laptop or your desktop or however you want to do it. I'm old school, right? I like to put pen to paper. And I think there's something about putting pen to paper when you're having to actually physically write stuff down versus typing it that then can make it stick better.
Mm-hmm.
So again, your 3 steps could be on one of your 7. Your 3 steps could be one from, 3 of your goals.
Right.
It could be, they could all be from your ULA 1
mm-hmm.
goal. I mean, you have to decide where you want to move the needle in your life. And you decide of these goals, which one do I want to focus on first?
So you're going to sit down. They get, because it's you be you, you pick whatever time of the day you wish to do it. The suggestion by ULA is for nighttime, as you sit and fathom what will you focus on the next day. And you pick whatever you wish to focus on, but you set some goals for that focus to move the needle for you. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can do it at night. Sometimes I do it at night. Sometimes I'll do it in the morning when I first come in here. I'll do it. It just, it depends. I'm not locked into doing it the night before.
Okay.
Like I said, sometimes I do it the night before, and sometimes like during the day, like late afternoon, I'll be sitting in my office and all of a sudden I think of something I need to do. And I thought, oh. So I flip my little card to my next little page, and I'll put that on my oranges for the next day.
Okay.
I know it's going to take me more time than I want to allot today, or I've got other things that I'm involved with today on my list that I'm trying to check through. And then there's some days I may have something down on my list that I don't get done, so it gets carried over to the next day. And I know, because I have a tendency to do this, to don't get all wrapped up in trying to be perfect on this. That's not the object, because you're the only one that's going to see this unless you share it with somebody. So you be you. Again, I keep saying that. You be you. You've got to do what works for you. If it works for you, do it first thing in the morning when it's quiet, let's get up, then do it. Because if night times are chaotic around your house because the dogs are having to go out and the cats are having to be fed and the kids are having to be, put to bed, then do it in the morning. Whatever time works for you. The idea is to just write down these steps. Don't let the Skittles take over your day. don't forget about your oranges, which are your dreams and your goals. And what baby steps do I need to take? And if one of your baby steps is I need to do research, well, then, that's your baby step on here is, let me find a bird sanctuary near me. Let me find an independent bookstore near me. Let me find, somebody who's, maybe you want to do a food cart. So, let me, find food carts in my town and talk to these people about how they got started and what they had. And, what was their capital outlay and, whatever, all the questions that you would need. And I can guarantee you that you can search any of these things on Google, Bing, Safari, and there will be tons of information out there on, on how to run a food cart or how to do a bird sanctuary or how to write a book. I get stuff all the time on my Facebook page about how to be an author.
Right.
And you probably do too, even though you are a published author.
Yeah, no, it's always there. And I'm, you're in writing groups and all that. So that's the other thing is the networking aspect and getting into writers networking groups so that you can get inspiration as well. But you can also get some really good advice and tidbits and things to help move the needle for you. So there's all sorts of ways to get going. And then the key message is to get going. At the end of the day, the message is to get going. So everyone, please, listen, start taking those small steps and let's see where it leads. So with that, we're going to wrap up because as I said, we don't want to, we don't want to beat the horse to death. And thanks for that visual again, Katie. Yeah, it's just wonderful. It's amazing how they all fit around the oranges.
Yeah, I feel like Vanna White.
Yeah, there you go. Have your moment, darling. Have your moment. I'm going to take this picture and send it and say, if you need a replacement, I know where you can get one. That's fantastic. But so that's all. This is our inspiration call. That's what it's meant to do, is inspire you to take action. So please do. And Katie, when are we on the air again? When is our check-in?
Our check-in is
accountability check-in. When is that?
April 28th.
All right. So Wednesday, April 28th, same bat time, same bat channel, 8 p.m. Eastern. On Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, you will find us checking in to see who has done the cards and, how you're finding them. And hopefully not just do them, but you're actually, finding that right time for you. Again, you be you. Finding that right time for you, setting what your next day's goals, objectives will be in a petite step way, and then following through on it that day to make sure that they're done or as many of them get crossed out as possible. So we'll be checking in with you April 28th. And with that, we would bid you a fair night. And Katie, as usual, I'm always going to ask you to take us out with those beautiful words that you do.
Be grateful, have faith, and go get your ooh life.
Yes, ooh la la, awesome. Let's get ooh la la awesome in 2021, guys. We are out of here. Thanks everyone. We're out of here.